Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another one of our discussions on Thursday. With this week, it'll be basically Implats from our side, and then we'll hand over to Sean, who will give you some technical updates on Anglogold, sort of an update from our golder, and given the fact that the golds are running, and then a little bit on Implats on the basis of this. So with that, let me just hand over to Matt, and thanks for your time, Matt.
Thanks, Vaughan. Good morning, everyone. So today, we'll chat about Implats and Northam. This presentation's changed a little bit from what I had in mind, given that the news that Northam dropped their offer to acquire RB Plats broke after close yesterday. So it's changed a little bit. So it's basically just this slide that I'll be focusing on today. We released a report during the week which unpacked the offers for the competing offers from Implats and Northam to acquire RB Plats. The positions of Implats and Northam going into, or at the time of the report, Implats had 41% ownership of RB Plats, Northam owned 35%, and the PRC owned just under 10%. The offer from Northam was more attractive. They offered about 172 Rand per share, and Implats was about 150 Rand per share. So that had a more compelling offer. However, the synergies that Implats had with RB Plats was better than the synergies that Northam had. So due to the location of the Implats mines basically border RB Plats, which gives Implats a lot more synergies. They can access some of the platinum without digging new shafts and all of that. So from that perspective, it would be a better deal for Implats to acquire RB Plats. Given that the PRC owns 10%, they're an important player in terms of who they decide to sell their 10% to. If they sold it to Implats, it would give Implats the majority control. And if they gave it to Northam, Northam would have just under 50%, but they would still be able to, get some of the minority shareholders on board. And also in that case, there potentially would have been a scenario where Implats might have decided to sell its stake to Northam, which would have introduced quite a nice special dividend. However, that's all changed. As I said last night, there was a SENS announcement which basically said that Northam terminated their offer. And that was basically due to the PGM prices, specifically rhodium, which has fallen below $9,000 for 12 consecutive days, which brings the 4E basket price below 330,000 Rand per ounce for 10 consecutive days. So before this announcement, there was still quite a lot of different scenarios that could play out, but those have now narrowed quite a bit. So the PRC obviously can't sell its stake to Northam. Implats can't sell their stake to Northam either. There should be less regulatory hurdles and interference now that one of the players is out. And for about 18 months, Northam and Implats kept making complaints to the regulators, which resulted in the deals being delayed. That should end now. It's now impossible for Northam to gain a majority shareholding, and it's unlikely that Implats will increase their offer now, so there'll be no bidding war. And then also, it's unlikely now that Implats will pay a special dividend, because they are unlikely to sell their stake, or they can't sell it to Northam because they've pulled out. So all of those scenarios are no longer possible. So the questions remaining are whether the PRC will sell at all. They kind of push now to sell to Implats, but they may decide that they'd rather keep their stake in RB Plats. Also, not quite known at the moment is whether Northam will sell into the Implats offer. They've said before that they were not sellers of Implats, so that's I would lean more towards the side that that Northam would hold its current stake. And then will the minority shareholders accept Implats offer? So all of those questions still remain. This morning, just before this presentation, I updated the prices. So the reaction was Northam Platinum's up about 6%. Earlier this morning, it was up as much as 15%, but it's bouncing around. It's been quite volatile, and Implats is up about 1%, but that's also bouncing around quite a bit. So in our report, we detail the basically what the outcomes or the level of cash that is would be outlaid by both of these companies, depending on how much of the offer shares were accepted. So the offer shares are basically the shares that is not owned by a current party. So now Northam's terminated their offer, so I won't even speak about that. For Implats now, if they are able to get 100% of the offer shares, they will outlay just over 15 billion rand, but they've got quite a strong balance sheet, and they've already provided that 15.5 billion rand. And then the value of the Implats shares that they offer will be about 8 to 9 billion rand. So still quite a good deal for Implats. After this, if it goes through at 100%, they'll still have a strong balance sheet with a net cash position. Which would have been the same would not be true for Northam. Northam was already in a net debt position, and they would have increased that if they didn't withdraw their offer, and that's probably one of the reasons why Northam is having a bit of a rally this morning. And then finally, just to finish off on our valuation for Implats, we've got quite a wide range of outcomes here. So minus 30% in the bear case and 18% in the bull case. It's very sensitive to the price of PGMs, and rhodium's a big component of that. So we are quite concerned about the price, the impact of rhodium on the valuation. But at the moment, we've kept a hold recommendation based on the fact that before Northam terminated the offer, there was quite a strong likelihood of a special dividend, and if the offer did go through, they would acquire a very good asset which would improve production and would be a great addition to Implats' portfolio. I think before I hand over to Sean, we can maybe just take some of the questions.
So, Matt, I just want to add one comment to what you've been saying before we take some questions. If you just go back to that offer, the slide that one. So the interesting thing about this is that because Implats is offering $90 a share plus 0.3 shares, the fact that rhodium prices and platinum prices are having a bit of a tough time because of the potential risk of a recession means that Implats gets it cheaper, because if their price goes down, so does RB Plat, and essentially you're not forced into a cash offer, which Northam was forced into, based on that issue. So the interesting thing about this one is that it also plays into Implats' favor, because they don't have to chase the price. They only need sort of 8.5% of the shares in order to get over 50%. So you don't need to sweeten the offer, and you can just wait, and you'll have a number of people, some weak holders that were trying to arb this deal, who will probably just exit, given that they might be worried about the platinum price and palladium price right now. So it puts it in their favor, and then you can get a very decent asset at a decent price. So all right, let me just let's get Sean to do his Anglogold and Implats, and we'll start with Implats, and then we'll take some questions on the whole thing. Over to you, Sean.
Okay, cool. So I think first of all, this is a weekly chart, so it shows you a bit more of a longer term perspective for Implats. And we can see there for a while, only 3 years, it was running sideways, what we call a trendless market. So you can see the support level there at around about the lower, that red line there is around about 142, and the upper blue line is what we call resistance, is the 302. So it's roughly about 159 Rand range there. But you can also see that it's trading near the bottom of its range. It's trading below its moving averages. So on this graph here, I've got 3 moving averages. 50-day is the red line, and then the green line is the 100-day, and this little purple line is some people not seeing the screen. Clive is not seeing the screen. Anyway, that is short purple line is what we call a 200-day moving average. So you can say in the medium term, the trend is a bit bearish below the 50-day and 100-day moving average, but still long term above the 200-day moving average is bullish. Saying that is that you can also see at the bottom screen, the bottom part of the screen is what we call a MACD, or moving average convergence divergence. It's an oscillator, so it moves above and below a zero line. So at the moment, it's trading what we call in oversold territory, and you can see the trend is still downwards, confirming the bearish price action. But saying that, I would also agree with it would be a hold at this point in time. Hasn't given any sell signals. I'll go sell signal if it breaks below that moving average, that 200-day moving average, first of all. And secondly, that lower support trend line. So I would say it's very close to bottoming them out very soon. And I've also got this purple line on top of this MACD, just to highlight what we call a bearish divergence. You can see on the top graph the 2 highs on the share price were making highs, whereas the oscillator was failing to confirm that. So I just highlight a early, what we call an early warning system, that the trend's going to change, and we can see how the price dropped off from at the high middle of 2022. So at this point in time, I've got 2 what we call pivot points, those 2 green lines. So if this 200-day moving average doesn't hold and breaks through that support trend line, you can see it moving down a bit lower, around about, what's that, 1,200, and the other one was about, sorry, 120 Rand, and the other one was down to about 40 Rand. I don't think it'll go so low, especially with what's been happening in the news today or yesterday. So yeah, my view would be it's a hold if you're holding the shares right now. If you're especially a long-term investor, if you're in the market looking for opportunities, it's coming very close to a watch. I'll be adding this share onto my watch list. So that's Impala Platinum. Move on to the next one, onto Anglos. Obviously, Anglos, we punted it a while ago. Also been moving through a very long-term sideways market, going on nearly 4 or 5 years. Again, you can see that lower support trend line been touched quite a few times, so it's very critical. So originally it was a resistance trend line, and then that resistance trend line acts like a support. So it shows you how important that level was. That level was, what was it? Where was my support trend line? My low support trend line around about 211 Rand. And the top upper blue trend line was the resistance trend line about 395. So our intrinsic value was around about 386. So it obviously broken out above that. And we can see how the share price has recently run on the back of the higher gold price. And now you can see also the lower trend line, the lower graph here, the lower widget shows you the MACD, and there shows you the opposite, where it shows you a bullish divergence. So where the share price was basically not making any new lows, the indicator was doing the opposite and making new highs. Again, showing you an early warning system that the trend will be changing soon. So we had this breakout above those moving averages, and I've got the same moving averages again. So right now, the share price is trading above all 3 moving averages. So the trend is bullish in the medium term and the longer term. I don't have any sell signals right yet. You can see the MACD is trading what we call overbought territory, but no clear sell signals yet. So that's why I'm saying it's a hold. The shorter oscillators like the RSI and this stochastic will be also very, very overbought. So you might say, okay, I might start taking some profits, but I anticipate it might go a bit higher to try and reach that green line there. You know, you say it's a pivot point, and that pivot point, so it's about 550. If it breaks through that, you can see the ultimate high there was it's about 600. So you're talking about 73 Rand, about 15%, and 123 Rand, another 25%, if you still want to hold for that upside potential. But at this point in time, as I say, it'll be a hold also. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much, Sean. Nice and clear, and good for everyone. Are there any questions? I'm looking at the chat. I can't see any questions there. Great. If you have a question, put up your hand and or turn on your camera. That would be quite useful for us. No questions? Sounds to me like everyone's out there trading Implats and Northam at the moment, and too busy to listen to a call because they're trading. Okay, guys, last one. Any last questions? Otherwise, fantastic. Thanks very much. Thanks for attending, and we'll catch up with you next Thursday. Thanks again, Sean. Cheers, everyone. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.